Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode. I think I'm going to be putting this episode on the podcast channel, um, but I'll also be uploading it to the main channel. And for those who don't know, I have a podcast channel now. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Yeah, so before we kind of get into this video, I just kind of want to say that I feel like it might be a little bit of a controversial kind of video. Um, so I just want to say right now that this is not an attack on anybody. This is not an attack. This is not directed towards anybody specifically or anything like that. This is just my opinion. You feel free to comment your opinions and how you feel down below in the comments. Just please make sure to keep the comments respectful. So Dinosaur Arcade. I'll be honest, when I first heard about that, well, I'm pretty sure when everyone first heard about Dinosaur Arcade, we were all excited because it was pretty much kind of like a sequel to Dinosaur Simulator. I was like, well, we're getting a new game. Like there could be so many possibilities. Um, and looking back at it, we did get a pretty awesome game with Dinosaur Arcade. But then after a while, I kind of started not. I was, in all honesty, I was kind of like a Dinosaur Arcade hater, or not hater, but I was kind of not anti Dinosaur Arcade, but I didn't like Dinosaur Arcade a little bit for a while, just because I don't know. I guess looking back at it, it was so different than what I was used to that it took time for me to get used to it. And again, it's just something that I might not still rather over Dinosaur Simulator, but it's still an awesome game nonetheless. Um, but with that being said, I think there's an issue with Dinosaur Arcade that should be addressed, and I think it should have been addressed probably before now. But I'm just not getting to it. But why Dinosaur Arcade died or why it failed, um, and to put it bluntly, I think Dinosaur Arcade failed because of the community. 100% sure, without a shadow of a doubt, Dinosaur Arcade failed because of the community. And why, you might ask? After kind of like the hype of it kind of died down, and it became a little bit more popular, um, within the Unhatched Games community, it became more and more apparent that the community, most of the community, I feel, did not want Dinosaur Arcade. And I think this stems from an issue or thing that came up years ago, back in 2018, I believe, when we first, well, not first announced, but when there was a poll, I think it was taken on Twitter, that Dinosaur Simulator might be getting a sequel game, or like, did we want a sequel game to Dinosaur Simulator, Dinosaur Simulator 2? So some of you might remember that debate, others, might not, but pretty much it was just a poll taken whether we wanted Dinosaur Simulator 2 or not. And I was for it, um, but a lot of people, and most people apparently were not, because they felt that a Dinosaur Arcade would, or I'm sorry, Dinosaur Simulator 2 was going to be pretty much the exact same as Dinosaur Simulator, except you just had to restart in it. Um, which, looking back at it, why would that have been the case? I don't understand. I guess people were thinking, well, Dinosaur Simulator 2, the name and all that, but uh, so the community did not want a Dinosaur Simulator 2. And the whole reason Dinosaur Simulator 2 came up was because even back then, there were some issues with the code in Dinosaur Simulator that were causing, some issues. And then it was like, okay, well, we might not recode this. We're probably not going to recode this game. So, and so we could just make a sequel game to it. Um, but nothing's going to be transferred or over to it or anything. And that was the main reason why people did not want to partake in a Dinosaur Simulator 2, was because none of the stuff, like they couldn't get their Elder Albino Terror transferred to the secondary game, which again doesn't really make any sense because who says Dinosaur Simulator 2 would have the same things or it would be the exact same way. Um, so then Dinosaur Arcade, I think people started realizing Dinosaur Arcade was pretty much what Dinosaur Simulator 2 was supposed to be or was gonna be, or was, yeah, pretty much. But and even if not that, like I think a few people kind of realized it, but I think that was more so after Dinosaur Arcade failed or like it was declining. Um, but I just think people just didn't really like Dinosaur Arcade just because of I guess bias, and I'll admit I was somewhat also prone to a little bit of that bias. Um, but then you can't really compare the two, even though they are both survival games. They're different. So I feel like the two the differences between the two kind of complement each other. Whereas Dinosaur Simulator, when Dinosaur Simulator first came out, or when it was gaining popularity in 2016, um, it was likened to the Isle. And when the Isle was a thing, it was all the rage. It was the dinosaur game to play. Um, and I feel like it helped contribute to Dinosaur Simulator's success. But in, I almost said prior extinction. In Dinosaur Arcade, it was actually a lot more similar to Path of Titans. Um, so I guess that's kind of like where the debate also kind of fueled, I guess, if that makes any sense. Where it's you either choose the Isle or Path of Titans, or in this case, Dinosaur Simulator or Dinosaur Arcade. But why not both? Um, so I feel because when I picked Dinosaur Arcade up and started playing it, I realized it was a really good game, to be honest. And I'm kind of disappointed that they did stop development on it. Um, I would love to, maybe for development to pick back up one day in the future, or there's apparently still some stuff like in the backlogs that is supposed to be released. So hopefully we will get some of that. Um, because it's a fun game. It's a fun game. Um, and down to personal preference, I did and still kind of do rather Dinosaur Simulator, but I mean Dinosaur Arcade, it was fine. It was fun. Um, and I feel the community kind of just had this bias towards it before completely like saying, well, you know what, it's not all bad. And then there were people who I feel with Dinosaur Arcade kind of made a bias against Dinosaur Simulator. Um, but instead of making that bias maybe just because of the game itself, they made it more so because of the things people do in Dinosaur Simulator. Like people tend to overcost or overkill on site in Dinosaur Simulator nowadays. Whereas like in 2018, since survival was and still technically is the main objective of the game, people were more focused on surviving and growing to elder than they were focused on killing other players. And I'm not saying costers didn't exist; they were still wildly popular in 2018, but it definitely was nowhere near. And even if it was like extremely common, it was definitely nowhere infrequent. It was nowhere near as common as it is now, where I can kill something for food and 12 seconds later get revenge killed, or I can spawn in. And if I spawn in the wrong place, let's say I spawn in that tundra, or I spawn in too close to some random pack, I'm probably gonna get wiped off the map um, in cost. So and people started bringing that to Dinosaur Arcade, which I think was another thing that kind of aided in its downfall, because I think Dinosaur Arcade overall was kind of supposed to be an escape from Dinosaur Simulator. And when people started bringing all of that to Dinosaur Arcade, I mean, there were literally clans specifically meant just for Dinosaur Arcade. Like they brought the clan life into Dinosaur Arcade. So that was, that. And then even if it wasn't just a strict Dinosaur Arcade clan, you still had Dinosaur Simulator clans like Cost Clan. I think was one that did a lot of stuff in um, Dinosaur Arcade, and if not, then I think Era Clan was also one. Was one. I think Bob Clan as well. So overall, I feel like it's the community's fault that Dinosaur Arcade died, um, and why it failed. Not to say that I don't think maybe there were things were maybe not executed to the best with Dinosaur Arcade, like the Era expansion update. I didn't understand it. I don't. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Um, or I don't know. It was a lot of confusion around it, and I couldn't even understand completely what was going on. Um, so I don't know. Maybe that was something. I don't know. Um, I feel like Dinosaur Arcade probably was a little bit ahead of its time. I think maybe we are. It got ahead of itself. Not that it was ahead of its time, but it tried to progress too quickly. I feel like they tried to take it too far too quickly. Um, but I mean, it's still an amazing thing, and it's sad to see it go. Not to say that excuse me, didn't know that it probably, because the way the community acted towards Dinosaur Arcade and everything, and how Dinosaur Arcade always kind of win. I kind of always felt that Dinosaur Arcade probably was going to get canceled or sometime or another, um, and it did. It's sad to see it go. It was a fun game, and I still play it sometimes. Because I mean, even down to like the customization aspect of it, where you can choose like your own colors. Even something that seems and sounds so basic as that, it just enhanced the gameplay for me. Um, I feel like realism could have took off in Dinosaur Arcade very, very, very well. Um, and like even cinematic things. I mean, or at least there was a cinematic mode or in a free cam mode in Dinosaur Arcade that I struggled to get. I don't know if they removed it or what, but um, I mean, it was possible, and I hope maybe they bring it back. I don't know if it's glitched or whatever, but I remember doing it, and I remember trying to film a short little documentary. I think that would have even enhanced like the community in that way. Um, but I feel like they might have accidentally appealed to people's like specifically like the Dinosaur Simulator people that came over to Dinosaur Arcade. I think they appealed to their PvP like um obsession, and I think that's something that kind of helped kill off Dinosaur Arcade, where people are so obsessed with again costing to where they're not thinking about, okay, well, you know what, forget costing and everything, let me just grow, let me survive. um but And I mean, you try to give people a little headway, and then they take it too far. Um, so I don't know. Um, I just I don't really have much to say about it because it's just I feel like it's just that straightforward. Dinosaur Arcade was killed by the player base. Um, and I mean, it's a shame to see all the staffs, the devs' hard work, and chicken engineers' hard work just go down the drain like that, because game development is not easy enough as it is, and then for you to have to cancel your game because of your community who can't, just take a breath of fresh air. and calm down for one moment without getting bored, without causing, is just absurd to me. And I think that's a big issue in Dinosaur Simulator, but that's a issue. That's a topic for another time. Um, so I don't know. I just I'm really hoping that when the recode in Dinosaur Simulator comes out, it helps to change the community for the better. Um, and as the community, we have to kind of change ourselves, and how we play and how we act. And people might say, well, people have been doing that. People have been causing ever since the game came out. Or people, always play like that, or always have had a similar play style to that. But that doesn't mean that it's okay. And even then, again, causing was not as popular as it is now. Despite what people say, it wasn't. Um, and I mean, I can even tell from like some of my old videos that I had recorded that I never got to upload and then lost. Um, or some of my old playthroughs, or even in some of the uploads that I had uploaded on here. I think from the from 2019, the 2019 to 2020 map, where I was a precursor and a albino terror. Those two episodes, I mean, even then, I like there were most of like what I uploaded was far from everything that happened in the video, and most of what happened in the video was, I mean, it was pretty much chill. Or there were still some instances where, like, maybe I'm starving, or and or being attacked by another player or something, um, excluding the hacker Megavore uh, instance. But so I don't know. I don't know. It was just, I don't know. The community is what caused kind of like the downfall of um, what started Dinosaur Simulator to start dying off. It completely caused Dinosaur Arcade's death. So I feel if we want more content or better content or more things in Dinosaur Simulator, because people are always complaining about updates in Dinosaur Simulator. If we want updates in Dinosaur Simulator, we need to show support, instead of always saying, just like with the last update, the invertebrate update. I think the invertebrate update to Dinosaur Simulator was probably one of the best updates we have ever gotten in Dinosaur Simulator ever, because it's not something that's just a PvP dino. It's not something that's just appealing to the PvP aspect. It's something that's just, it's a small, like the trilobite. It's a small roach looking creature. It's for fun. It's fun. That's what, and people were like, this update was so bad, and I'm thinking, well, why is the update bad? And I asked one person, why is the update so bad, and they said because it's not good for PvP. Who says anything has to be good for PvP? Like, it's not a PvP game. Despite what people say, it's not. It's a survival game. Um, and even if it's no longer solely survival, it's RPG, which or whatever. Or someone in the Discord was like, whatever Dinosaur Simulator is classified now, I think it's RPG or something like that. It involves role play, survival, and PvP all together in one thing. And what is survival? Survival combines role play. If you think about it, survival combines role play and PvP together. So to me, Dinosaur Simulator is just survival. It's just people take it too far. Just like they took it too far with Dinosaur Arcade, and then they killed it, and then the players wanted to be upset that they canceled Dinosaur Arcade. But I mean, you were the cause of them canceling it. They had to cancel the game because of you. So I don't know. That's all I really can say about it. Um, it's a shame that it's gone. I hope maybe the devs might pick it back up one day, because they did an excellent job on it. But until then, let's not mess up Dinosaur Simulator. How about that? Um, but yeah, so that's all I really have for now. Um, Sorry if my voice is a little bit odd. Um, Kind of got a sore throat a little bit. I don't know why, but my throat has just been really dry lately. Even though I've been drinking a ton of fluids, I don't know what's going on. But yeah. So that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see y'all later. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Share the video if you thought it was interesting. Um, Comment some of your opinions or what you think about this. Just keep the comments respectful. And yeah, until next time, I'll see you later. See y'all.